Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to AK Academy and the second part of Reflection in C Sharp. This video gonna be so interesting. We are going to implement a plugin system. We are going to learn how you can implement your plugin system to your application so other developers can simply get the SDK you provide them with and create plugins and extensions. Simply, you can get that DLLs generated by other developers, put it inside a folder, a specific folder in your application, and new functions, methods, and logic gonna be added without writing any specific code to add it inside your system. Okay, Ahmed Muzaffar with you. I'm a Microsoft certified trainer and a .NET full stack developer. Here is my Twitter, Facebook, and my official website account if you want to follow me to stay up to date with everything new and to ask any questions. I'm available anytime. So before we start coding and implementation, let me explain the flow a little bit. We have three components. The first one is your application, whether it is an console application, web, Windows, or whatever. And you provide a class library. It is the SDK. This library, you give the generated DLL to developers either via website or send them directly via email, or maybe you can make it available on a NuGet package so foreign developers can simply download it. They can create a class library projects using the SDK you provide them with. They can write logic and simply after they build their own extensions, they can put it inside a specific folder so your application will read it and add that functions into the app automatically without writing any specific code to add the specific plugin. You can see this in Photoshop maybe, or there are a lot of big apps, even Office. Sometimes the other developers can create plugins and you can simply download it and use it inside Office. So this is like a quick overview, but while we are start coding and implementing that, things gonna be more clear. So let's get started. First, let's open a new instance of Visual Studio and create a new project. Okay, .NET Core console app, at next. Here, I'm going to call it AK app. Okay. Let's hit create. Okay. Here I have a very basic console application that actually does nothing rather than showing a hello world message on the black screen. Okay? Now, we need to make this app extendable by other developers. They can get an SDK, write a code, and simply by putting the generated DLL files inside this app folder, this app gonna add new functions into it. So, let's see. First, I'm going to open folder and file explorer, okay? Go to pen, debug, .NET Core. Here I'm going to create a new folder, call it extensions. Okay. Now, next thing I'm gonna do is create a new project inside the solution. I'm going to call it first, choose the type or the template, class library, .NET standard. Next, I'm going to call it akapp.sdk. Here is the class library project that you are going to provide the developers with so they can create their own functions and extensions to your application. Let's remove this. Okay. Here, actually the SDK gonna be an interface. I'm going to call it plugin or iPlugin. This interface defines what the developer's extension will look like. Like it's going to contain what the properties their extension will have and what the function they should implement. So in your application, in our application here, AK app, we deal with this interface in general. We call this function the function that this interface provides, but the object or the instances that going to represent this interface is created by other developers. So first, let me create this interface. Okay, I'm going to call it iPlugin. Okay, let's hit add. Mark it as public. Now, this plugin going to contains two properties. String title and gonna be get only and description get, and it's going to have a one function called do something. Okay, this is a very basic interface. Now, this is our whole SDK, simply only this simple interface. Now, let's close and save that. Let's go into our application dependencies, hit add reference, and add reference to that SDK. Hit OK. Now, what we should do here, we have to do something. We need to implement this function of reading plugins and adding them into our application. We will use reflection. We have talked about that in the previous video called reflection in C# part 1. Other developers are going to provide us with DLL files we are going to put inside this folder. So our app has to open this folder and read the DLL files inside it. Each DLL file represents an assembly. What do we mean by assembly? Assembly is the full application. Here I have an app, contains the classes, namespaces, whatever. Maybe here you have 1000 file, one file, maybe 100 file, whatever. But these files, as physically they are files, but when you click build, these files has namespaces and classes. They are getting compiled into a .dll or .exe file. This, we call this as an assembly, okay? So other developers gonna provide us with an assembly. We will read the files and read the assembly, extract the types or the classes they provide us with, and we get the types only that implements iPlugin. We create instances from these classes dynamically using reflection because we don't know what are those types. Maybe a plugin or a class called car, maybe, or calculation plugin, extension, images processing plugin. We don't know what is the type exactly. So we deal with that using reflection dynamically. After that, we will going to save those plugins inside a list. Then we iterate over this list, print the name and the description of this plugin, and call the function do something. So let's get started. First, I'm going to create a list of type iPlugin. Okay, call it plugins equals to null for now. Then I'm going to create a function that returns a list of iPlugin called read plugins, or let's call it read extensions. Okay. Now, first thing we have to do is to get all the DLL files that are existing in this folder or in this directory. So I'm going to add system.io. Very good. Here, I'm going to say var files equals to directory dot get files. Okay, the path is extensions, only the name of the folder, and the search pattern. If I don't put the search pattern, or I don't pass any argument to this parameter, it gonna returns all the files for me. Either it is a GPG images, PDF files, whatever DLL, but actually I only need DLL files. So I pass the search pattern, give me only DLL files. Let me write this over here to read the DLL files from the extensions folder. Okay, nice. Second thing is read the assembly from those files. Okay, now I'm going to iterate over them. Files, good. And in each file I'm going to create a variable called assembly of type assembly as well. I'm going to use the static method inside the assembly class called load file. Okay, the name of the file gonna be this, but this function or this method has to take a full path. So I'm going to use path.combine. Let's get the path of the application, directory.get current directory, and combines it with file. Now I have the assembly. What this assembly contains, as you have seen in the first video, I have all the functions that inspect the code inside it. The classes, attributes, types, namespaces, whatever. I can get and manipulate with everything. But what I need actually, I need all the types. All the types that implements the interface I plug in. Each assembly maybe contains one class, maybe it doesn't contain any class, or it contains multiple classes. Some implements I plug in and some doesn't. So I need to extract only the type that implements I plugins. So I'm going to create a new variable called plugins or plugin types, and this is going to be equals to. Now to extract all the types that implements iPlugins, I'm going to use assembly.getTypes. This gives me all the types existing inside the assembly. I'm going to use the .where method inside system.link. Let's import the library using system.link. Now I need the types. To get the types that implement this interface, I'm going to get the type of the interface using the type of iPlugin dot is assignable from. This is assignable from function returns true if this type implements this interface, other than it's false. And what I need to make sure is this type is not an interface. Dot to array. So here, as you can see, I got all the types that are classes, not interfaces, and implements iPlugin, which I'm interested in. And we ignore anything else. Here, the third step, extract all the classes types that implements iPlugin. Okay. Now, what I need to do is also to iterate over this plugin types, over these types, and to create an instance dynamically for each one. Var plugin type in plugin types. Very nice. Okay, to create an instance of this type using reflection, I can use the class activator.createInstance static method. So plug in extension or plugin instance equals activator.create instance of type plugin type. Here I have created or initialized a new object of this type, and here is the power of reflection. You see, I don't know what is the name of the class, I don't know what it is, I don't know anything about it. I just know the type. I got the type from a file, I got assembly from a file, I got the types from the assembly, then I got an object from those types. So that's cool. At the end, we have to add this into a list. So here I'm going to create a very basic list, call it var plugins list equals to new list of I plugin, and simply add plugin list. Plugin instance. Okay. At the end, we return plugin lists. Okay. Create instance returns of type object, so I need to convert it into one object of type iPlugin. Okay. Now I have list of objects that implements this interface iPlugin. It's very simple, right? The fourth step is create object and instance or object from the extracted type. And here I've made sure that even if the assembly contains one type or multiple types that implement a plugin, okay, it works. That's amazing. Now, here, after the application runs, let's say plugins, this list equals to read extensions. Okay, here inside this list now I have set of objects that have created by other developers inside a one list. So simply let me first print them for each plugin or extension. Plugins console.writeLine plugin .name or .title plugin .description. I'm going to print the name and the title for each one, and here I can print a simple separator. Now after I print all of them, I'm going to iterate over them again and simply call the function plugin do something. And here, so the writeLine, I'm going only to print the count plugin or plugins found. Okay. Here, press any key key. Okay, cool. So let's make a quick recap. After I created this interface that contained this, I know all the types that are going to be built by other developers going to have title, description, and a function called do something, okay? So inside my application, to make it extendable, I have created a function using reflection called read extensions. It's going to read all the files inside an extensions folder that have the DLL extension, okay? Then I have iterated over each one of them. I have got the assembly, so I can extract the types. I have extracted all the types using get types. Then I filtered them to get only the type that implements iPlugin using is assignable from. This function checks if this type implements this interface or no, and this type is not an interface, okay? After that, I iterated over those types again. Then I have created an instance for each one of them. Now, after that, I got a list of instances that implements iPlugin. Okay? So I don't know what other developers gonna create, what they will give, what is the name of the class that they will that will be, but that's not important for me. What's important for me is that classes implements iPlugin, and so I'm sure it's going to have title, description, and do something function. Okay? After that, when the applications run, I read those extensions and put them inside this list. Now I can do whatever I want with them. I iterated over them and print the title and the description for each plugin separator. Then I started to implement, to call the do something method inside each object. So in this way, each developer implement this in his own way and gonna do something specific. And simply this function gonna be added for me without writing any extra code. I just write this, and now other developers can simply extend this app the way they want. So before I move to the last step, which is create a plugins and try it, let's run the application to check that everything is working fine. Okay, what I have here, plugins found, here I have to print plugins.count. Now, okay, 0 plugins found. Okay, the code is working perfectly. Now, I'm going to take this from here. Let's open. To take this DLL, I have to build a solution. Build succeeded, okay. Here is the DLL. This DLL, I'm going to give it to developers so they can add it to their applications and write their own extensions to our nice and huge app. Okay, so I'm going to put it, leave it here. Let's imagine I'm a different developer. I'm not Ahmed Muzaffar for now. I'm going to create a new project because I'm really interested in this app and I want to make it, add a little function to it, so it's gonna be nice. The project gonna be of type .NET Standard. Next. Okay, I'm going to add a greeting functionality to this app. Greeting plugin. Let's set create. Gonna be a super powerful plugin to this app. Wow. Let's remove this class first. I don't like it. Then to dependencies, the first step is to go at browse, and let's go to documents, okay, academy, C# topics, sorry, AK app SDK, bin, debug, .NET standard, and here is the required DLL. That's it, okay. Now let's create a new class. Let's call it greeting plugin as well. Or no, this is the same name for the namespace. I'm going to say it hello plugin. And let's mark it as public. It should implement iPlugin. Use app.sdk, okay, nice. Now let's implement it. Public string title, or I can use this way, it's better. Title hello plugin. Public string description. Hello plugin is a super powerful extension to your app developed by Ahmad Muzaffar to not your app, to AK app. Okay, and at the end let's implement do something. Okay, console.writeLine, enter your name, string name equals to console.readLine, console.writeLine, hello, and name. Okay, that's so nice, right? It looks like really powerful. So let's build the project. Very cool. Now open the folder, go to bin, debug, .NET standard, and I'm going to take this .dll file. Okay. Then I'm going to go back to my application. Let's open it. Bin, debug, core, and simply look, I won't write any specific code to deal with greeting plugin. I simply just paste it here, then I run my application. Let's see. And simply I get a very nice exception. Okay, unable to load one or more of the requested type. System cannot find the specified file. Okay. I need to I have a little issue here with the assemblies. Sorry, I have loaded the previous assembly that I have created in the preparation of the session. I have to add projects akapp.sdk here. So iPlugin comes from app akapp.sdk, not a plugin system. It was a previous demo. Okay. Now let's run the app again. Okay, very cool. As you can see, it detects that there is a plugin called Hello Plugin, and the description is Hello Plugin is a super powerful extension to AK app developed by Ahmed Muzaffar. Wow, and it runs the method do something. Okay, my name is Ahmed. Hello Ahmed, hello world. Wow, that's incredible and pretty easy, right? Before we finish, let's create another one. Going to create a new one called calculator plugin, public, and it implements I plugin. Again, can copy this, paste it here. Calculator, nice calculator extension here. Enter number, there is number 2, and it prints the result, number 1 plus number 2 equals to number 1 plus number 2. Again, let's build that and copy the DLL, copy the greeting, and go back into this folder and let's replace it with this one. Okay, cool. Let's run the application again. Very nice. It detects that there is two plugins, calculator plugin and hello plugin. The first one asks me to enter a number, 3, number 5, 3 plus 5 equals 8. Ahmed, hello world Ahmed. Okay, that's pretty nice. This is actually, reflection is one of my favorite topics in C#. I like to play with reflection because it seems like games you can do completely nice and powerful things into your application, and plugins is one of the most important things. Imagine in the real world scenarios, like you have an app that, let's say, an accountant application. So the accountant app provides a list of invoices. Inside your application, you have list of invoices. So you can build such an plugin system so you can let other people's. You do the same thing here, but when you initialize this, you pass a list of invoices to it. So you let other developers to deal with these invoices, maybe manipulate them in a good way, or they can export it into something else. So you just do the basic things and you let other people do whatever they want and add very nice functions into your application. And this requires nothing from you, just implements the simple function. And you let all the people integrate and engage developers with your app in addition to the users. Hope you enjoyed this session. If you have any question, as always, you can put them inside the comment section below and I will try to answer them as soon as I can. And this project gonna be available on GitHub. You can find the description in the link in the description box. At the end, if you enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button and the like. At the end, thank you so much for your watching and see you in another video.